Yellow.
I'm happy to be here. Usually.
Okay.
So we are all about parenting today.
Yeah.
Our thoughts about parenting as non-parents.
As
Which I
non-parents.
think is very interesting. You guys should wait for it. It's going to
Yes.
be fun, I promise.
I thought-
And then we have some experience because
Yeah, we were raised by parents.
We've experienced parenting.
And we turned out well.
Yeah.
We turned out very
Pretty okay.
yeah.
So this conversation is stemming from the last conversation we had about life skills
Yes.
you should have to preserve your humanity in an AI-driven world. And then my husband had a lot to say around emotional intelligence. So he wants to continue.
He wants to continue.
He wants to continue now.
See, it's not like that. Well, so about emotional intelligence, I was saying that the emotional makeup of people or how emotionally balanced the person is depends largely on how the person is raised. And so that's got me down a long lane of parenting styles. Started checking out parenting styles, and of course,
parenting is the loudest.
Gentle parenting seems to be the loudest right now. And while I do not agree with some of their core, what's the word now?
Is it tenets?
Yes, that's just tenets. Their core tenets.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree, but I found it quite interesting. And like Shia said, we're non-parents, so we have every right to say what we want to say and come back in a year or two and change our minds. Right? But this is what we think right now.
Yeah, what we think right now,
This
based on our experience.
Based on our experience as
children.
parented children.
Parented children.
And what we think that we would like to see our children turn out to be. So now
there's a table.
Yeah.
I saw a table that sort of splits mainstream parenting style separate from gentle parenting style. So it puts it side by side to say this is the philosophy of mainstream parenting. This is the philosophy of gentle parenting. So we're just going to be reading out, points from each of these sides, and then we're going to be letting you know what we think. If mainstream parenting wins or if gentle parenting wins. That's it. So the first one is routine set by parents or parenting experts. So this is saying mainstream parenting believes in setting routines, either by parents or parenting experts. But for gentle parenting, it says the natural rhythms of the child is being observed and followed. So what do you think?
So I think that we can merge the two. I don't think that one standard reigns supreme.
Okay.
In that sense, I believe that, yes, children have their rhythms. Children have their unique rhythms. They come out of the womb, they sleep, eat, come out of the sleep, eat, cry if they are uncomfortable.
Wake up at night.
And all that. So, but then, of course, as they grow into toddlers and, the way they say it's terrible twos.
Still, I don't believe that goes.
Yeah, terrible twos where they start testing your will to live. So, yeah. So as they grow, anyway, the central idea that you probably are going to hear throughout this video is that I'm going to be reminding you that you are the adult in this relationship, and you are molding a life. And that means that even though this is a unique human being that you are trying to raise into their full potential, you are laying down the principles and setting rules and guidelines that they are going to live their lives by.
Yes.
So, yes, there are natural rhythms of the child that you are going to observe. You are going to check which hand does this child write with, and talk to that child and say, my child is writing with the left or started writing with the left. Allow. Don't switch the hand. There's that. Or different things. Maybe the child loves a hug. Okay, you want to hug more. The child loves to talk to you. You want to listen.
And we're going to touch on that.
Yes, there's a natural rhythm. The child wants you to read them to sleep. Some children are independent, but some of them they actually encourage you to want to read them. Of course, encourage you, read them to sleep.
But then it doesn't throw away the need for routines.
For routines, you're going to lay down routines.
It's how you build discipline.
Yes, you're going to go to school by a set time in the morning. You're going to brush your teeth. I'm going to brush your teeth
by this time. You're going to take off your uniform by this time. That's if they are going to school.
And child cannot wake up and say, I don't want to have breakfast.
I don't want to have my bath.
I don't want to have my bath. In which house?
Why don't you? Anyway, so that's it. So there's a merge here between.
Yes, there's a merge. I think, both. I go for both of them.
Okay, the second point. Mainstream parenting says children should learn respect for their parents ASAP. That's as soon as possible.
Yes.
Gentle parenting says parents should respect the child, leading the child to respect the parents.
So here, I believe that mainstream parenting's assertion is dependent on gentle parenting's style or assertion, because the child cannot learn what you don't teach the child. What you don't mirror. Of course, they learn to say no without you teaching them. Yes, they learn to say they decline or they ignore. They're testing your will. And they learn it. It's innate. It's human beings' natural rebellious spirits, that's so to say. It's just how they follow come. That's how I like to put it. But you teach them respect. You have to teach them how to respect. You have to teach them how to. So how do you respect a child? By listening to the child, setting boundaries, and giving them your attention. The child is talking to you, and you are not ignoring and pressing phone or doing something.
Make them feel seen.
Make them feel seen. Make them feel heard. That type of thing. Just respect them. You're talking to them calmly. In my home, my dad would greet you first. He would greet you first. And so personally, it became a thing where if I saw him or if I went out and I saw other people, I wanted to greet them first. Because it was something I had seen in my home. My dad would greet you first. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Even when he calls now, hey, Supreme, good morning, how are you? Like, it just flows. So I've learned, that's how I learned. So yes, parent respects child, leading child to respect parents. You get it back. But also, the children should learn that respect ASAP.
As soon as possible.
Because there's no time, you're growing. So as you're growing, you have to learn respect so that you can express respect out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
All right. Third point, bad behavior. That's on the mainstream side. Bad behavior is always unacceptable and punished or ignored. For gentle parenting, no behavior is seen as bad, but rather as an unmet need and a way to learn. Yeah. So, okay, what do I think? Okay, I think that, like I was saying, we had this conversation before, and I was saying maybe, I don't know about bad behavior, maybe I'll prefer to say right or wrong behavior, right? Because there's such a thing in society as the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. And like that article we're reading, the case against gentle parenting, she was saying that gentle parenting makes a child feel like they are the center of the parent's world, but then doesn't also communicate that they are not the center of the world. Yeah. You may be the center of my world, but I also have to communicate to you that you are not the center of the world. The world doesn't revolve around you. So I need to be correcting wrong behavior. Like, for example, the lady who wrote the article was giving an instance, the playground instance, where a child was playing with this other child, and the child kicked sand in a child's face. And then she says she was just observing the entire interaction. The mom of the sand kicker child ran to the playground, knelt down, was at eye level with her child, and was saying,
that's with her own child, not the offended child.
Not the offended child, it's the offender child.
The offender, yes.
Yeah, the offender child. Knelt down, eye level. How are you feeling? Why did she even say, why did you kick sand in his face? I don't think that was the question. She was just focusing on how he was feeling.
Are you
uncomfortable? Would you like to do something else? So she was trying to distract him, and then as she was taking him away to distract him with something else, with the slides in the playground, she was now mouthing an apology to the offended child's mom.
Yeah.
And then the lady writing the article says she just knew immediately that this mom is a victim of the latest fad of gentle parenting.
Correct.
And then she says if she was the one who had the offender child, she would first say with a stern voice, apologize to the child, because that's wrong.
What you did hurt the other child.
She's not going to ask you, are you feeling uncomfortable in that moment? Because in real life, like, you had to subject your feelings. Like,
I think she gave an example, like a policeman. So you assaulted somebody
in public,
and the policeman came to pick you up. You think he would first of all ask you, were you feeling uncomfortable?
Were you feeling anxiety?
What led you to do that?
He's first going to slam her with a fine, or you are going to jail first. And then after you come out, your family members will now say, you shouldn't have done that. They will now ask you, what was your emotional frame of mind? Like, what led you to do that? So she was like, that's how, like, life is. So if you are raising a child and you want the child to have, a balanced interaction with the world, then you need to reward right behavior and, punish wrong behavior. Not punish in the sense of physical abuse or beating a child to stupor, but punish in the sense of...
I think that's even the next point now, because currently they're saying no behavior is seen as bad under gentle parenting, which doesn't make sense.
I disagree.
Yeah. There's bad, there's good. There's right, there's wrong.
Yes.
Let's know what we're doing.
Yes.
Because there are things that you're trying to instill in that child, that things you want to see. You have to encourage those things. And I trust that the things you want to see are the right things. Right things in society, right things according to your faith, as a believer. I think at this place we should even stop a bit. We should stop a bit and maybe talk about where we are coming from.
Okay.
Yes. So, we are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. That distinction has to be made very clear. And
I believe that children are given to us as gifts.
To steward.
Right.
To steward. So, yes, there's that uniqueness. That's what I was talking about, the uniqueness of each child. So, as you are raising these children, Scripture talks about the fact that if you spare the rod, you hate your child. Yes.
And whom God chastises.
Yes, whom the Lord loves, He chastises. So there's that balance. Yes, there's that balance, and we believe in Scripture. And so if you are raising children, I cannot wholly accept a style that does not involve discipline or punishment. Now, it's not necessarily smacking a child. It does not necessarily mean caning the child with nitrile wire.
Or yelling at the child
all the time, traumatizing this child's life, locking the child in a dungeon or something. That's not what I think. But there should be some level of discipline. The child should know. He should address the wrongdoing. This thing that you did is wrong. It is not acceptable behavior. That's what we think.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and maybe we should also define where we are coming from. What gentle parenting is, as defined by Kathleen Moscatello. Kathleen Moscatello. Yes. Yeah. So gentle parenting.
Yeah, practicing Italian.
Gentle parenting is an approach that stays away from punishment and focuses instead on helping children to become more self-aware. And I've heard in some circles people say gentle parenting is a way to help a child become more confident. So that's the gentle parenting concepts.
That's the gentle parenting concept now. Yeah.
We're working with. Okay. So back to our table. On the mainstream parenting side, it says give praise when the child does something the parents like. On the gentle parenting side, it says most praise is seen as shallow and unnecessary, particularly outcome-based praise. And efforts should be praised.
So yes, efforts should be praised.
Yes.
On the gentle parenting side, yes, efforts should be praised. Praise should be given to not just things that the parents like, but things that are right.
Yes, again.
Things that are right. Not just things that the parent likes, but things that are right. there's still this whole argument of what exactly is right and wrong. Where do you draw the line between right and wrong? Of course, everybody has their home. Everybody has their child and their parenting.
There's a liberality
Yes,
around how people see what is right and wrong. But then as believers, we know clearly from scriptures what is right and wrong. And even society-based rules and laws. Like you can't just assault a person.
Yes.
Like
you can't hit. You can't just
steal.
Yes, you can't just hit another child. You can't just take another child's property.
You can't just insult.
You can't just insult people.
Like,
so there are videos I've seen of a child throwing a tantrum in a supermarket and scattering things, pulling things off the shelf, and then the mother is saying, "Allow him, allow him." Then she goes to him, "Are you okay? Are you okay now?" Something is wrong. Like there's something fundamentally wrong. You can't be. What you are doing in that calm tone is encouraging the child to continue. At the end of the day, you are inconveniencing the people who work there. Yeah. That's not acceptable behavior. Yeah. It's not acceptable behavior. So I mean,
I remember this particular story Njomadu was telling us the other day when she was in the bus with her mom, and then there was this child who was misbehaving, and it was like the mom couldn't get a hold on the child. I'm like, this is no place for you to be doing all of this. And she said she was noticing her mom, that her mom's feet was like, she was tapping her feet like, okay, she could tell that it was taking everything in her to control herself. But at some point, she just turned, looked at the boy, she didn't yell, but in a stern voice, sit down. And the boy sat down. Like,
so all the child needed
was that authoritative, like, I'm your parents. Yeah. I can tell you to sit down, and you will sit down, right? So, I mean, it's necessary. You should let the child know, clear expectations, that this is how I expect you to behave.
Yes.
When we are outside.
And to be fair, there are some gentle parenting people who say that, they use the stern voice. They don't yell because they've been traumatized by yelling parents, but they use a stern voice. But I'm going to come to that yelling part later. I'm going to talk about yelling, if it is 100% bad. But yes, efforts should be praised. So on this point, I don't know if either part wins or something.
I think it's a mix of both.
It's a mix, yeah. It's a mix of both. You don't want to just glorify outcomes.
Yeah, over efforts. Yeah. Then the next one, on the mainstream side, children are viewed as little adults with mature cognitive and social behavior on a level with what's expected of an adult. But on the gentle parenting side, it says parents are mindful of child's immature brain development, so they lower their behavior expectations appropriately. I think this even is trying to say if the child is throwing a tantrum in public, you should understand that the child is immature.
Okay, that's what you think.
That's what I interpret.
Okay, based on manifestations.
Yes, so they lower their behavior expectations. So it's almost like they're saying you can't expect a 2-year-old to
not to throw tantrums. But what's your response to the tantrum? So on this one, right? I want to agree. So I want to agree with the gentle parenting side, but not wholly. So I want to agree with them to the extent of recognizing that this is an immature brain. Scripture talks about when I was a child, I thought as a child, right? I did things as a child. So there's an acceptable way for children, but they are behaving in that way not so that you can encourage, but so that you can steer them rightly. And so steering them to the right way is where there's that tug of war between these two parenting styles. Okay,
of course, they are not adults.
They're not adults, so you have to lower expectations rightly. A child that just came out of the womb cannot say, Mommy, I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
Yes, child cannot speak yet. You cannot wake up a 2-year-old and say, okay, get up and get to the bathroom and prepare yourself. Definitely. So your expectations have to be lower. There are things that are expected for every stage of the child. So there's that. I'm not pushing that away. But how do you then respond? Them playing their tantrum. You don't calmly, especially when their tantrum affects another person negatively. You understand? Affects another child. You are not being calm about it. Address it there and then, so that it's not only your child's feelings that if you're considering not hurting your child's feelings, what about the other person? You understand? So
Tantrums, tantrums are destroying people's properties. No.
Because if you excuse that right now, today is tantrums. Tomorrow it will be keying other people's cars. Yeah, that's a tantrum.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I think you even raised an important point in the sense of, so in as much as you are considering where the child is, you're also thinking for the long term as well. Like, if I condone this now, would it have, what's like the futuristic impact of condoning this?
Because whatever you accept, the brain accepts, their brain has accepted, you have imprinted and you've said that this is acceptable behavior. You've encouraged it. So tomorrow, the child will go out and the child will do it.
So I remember someone I was listening to where she was saying she would come back from work and she would be frustrated about the crying of her children. Like, she loved her children, but she didn't want to be around them. So she was asking God, she was praying about how should she navigate, this season where they would cry. And then she started to deliberately teach them, saying, if you cry, I won't respond to you. But if you use your words, they were at a stage where they could speak.
Speak, yes.
If you use your words and then clearly articulate to me how you're feeling and what you want, I would then pay attention to you.
Yes.
Right. And she said that was how she reinforced that behavior of, Mommy, this is what I want.
Yes.
Mommy, this is what I want. And then we'll have a conversation. You can't have it now, but you can have it when you're done with this, and that. And she said that was how she was able to, resolve that stage of frustration.
Yes.
Because children's crying can be discomforting.
So it's funny you raised this, because it then reminds me of the fact that I get to meet children a lot, and I found out that right now parents are infantilizing their children a whole lot more. So they're saying and expecting less of the child at a certain age where they're supposed to be doing more or expecting more from that child. So there are children that I've seen that would normally throw tantrums around their parents or express some unacceptable behavior around their own parents. But if they try it around me and I say, be quiet, what do you want? I get better results from that child, or even the parents get better results from that child at that point in time. Why? Because the child recognizes that I'm not going to encourage this unnecessary crying.
Because you even want to raise a child who can articulate their emotions in the world.
Yes.
Because you can't throw tantrums in people will not respect you, but you have to be able to say, okay, this is what I want. This is how I'm feeling right now. Especially if you want to raise a child that can function in a romantic relationship in that sense.
Yes.
You have to be able to communicate.
You have to be able to communicate.
Your emotions.
Yes.
And all of that. So I think that's it for that. Who wins here? I don't think there's a winner for any side. I think it's a blend as well. So the last one, mainstream parenting says parents can find it hard to separate their own thoughts and feelings with those of their child. They may have a stressful job, lack of support, lack of self-care, but they are not aware that this impacts on their parenting. On the gentle parenting side, it says parents recognize their importance as parents and look after themselves. They find support, they ask for help, they take time to nurture themselves so that they can have space and energy to nurture their child. Mindful of parent burnout and how their own feelings and their own childhood affects their parenting, impacts on their parenting.
I think gentle parenting wins here. You are a more self-aware person. You understand how how you were parented, how you were taught, how it may be affecting you right now. You understand how your work, possible stress may be affecting the way you are dealing with your your children or your child.
You find yourself yelling too often.
Yes, you find yourself yelling. That should be a sign.
Out.
Yeah. So I think that gentle parenting wins on this side.
Yeah.
Hands down, because many times you may be doing something without realizing that it is being fed by where you're coming from, a past trauma.
Yeah.
Or it's being fed, you may be transferring aggressions from your boss to your children without knowing it. Mm-hmm. And so on this side, I think that as a parent, you want to be aware of where the strongest emotions you're communicating to your child or expressing to your child, where are they coming from? Mm-hmm. Are they the intentional things that you want to be saying to your child? It's the tone of voice you are using for the child, the one you're supposed to be using at that point in time, the words you are using on that child, the expectations you have, the things, the frustrations you are expressing at a set time. Is it the child that caused it, or is it your office that caused it?
Or is it your past trauma?
Is it your past trauma that caused it?
If you have to be in a therapy session,
Because I think it's easy for us to go to the extreme.
Yeah.
So somebody experienced, as I was talking about the yelling thing that I would talk about. So because your parent yelled at you so much, you are raising a child, and then you say, I am never going to yell at my child. And when you yell at the child at the time that you're actually supposed to yell, you then feel guilty about it and start apologizing after you've corrected a bad behavior. I think there's a problem there. What do I mean? Now, in my home, my dad has a loud voice. There are times when maybe you are about to spoil something. Maybe my younger brother is about to push down the television.
About to eat battery.
Yeah, about to eat battery.
You're about to use a key inside
the socket to push it into, and there's lights. And to push it into the electric socket. At that point in time, actually, I'm grateful that you're still alive and with us today. So if you see a child doing stuff like that are urgent, you say you know yell. You yell.
The child's about to jump into the road.
Yes. Then you call the child and say, are you feeling there's a bus coming? The child is about to get into the road. You now stand on the curb and say, Jaden, what's making you cross the road? Are you uncomfortable? I think that's one of the popular names right now. Jaden.
Or Jason.
Jason. Yeah. Honestly speaking, I think that there's a time and a place for yelling. That's on the one hand. On the second hand, my dad, we're having a conversation some years back, and he was letting me know why he yelled at me at certain times. Maybe when he was talking, when he wanted to say something, and why he yelled. It was when I just got into the university, he was explaining to me why he did that. So he was explaining to me the reason why he yelled is so that when I go out and people are raising their voice, I would still trying to intimidate me. I would still stay centered.
Stay as equilibrium.
Yes, I'll still be centered, and so I can be yelling your brains out. And I'm looking at you and I'm saying, you're raising your voice.
I saw this play out when we were about to get married. We're looking for a house. I will tell this story. We're looking for a house, and we're having a conversation with this real estate agent guy that we had come from afar to see under the hot sun. Then this guy starts to raise his voice and shout. I was stunned. I was too stunned to respond. But my husband, he just kept calm and kept asking him, you're raising your voice. Did you ask him why he was raising his voice?
I asked him.
So why are you raising your voice? Like, he seemed unfazed. And then he told me, let's be going. Because the voice was not coming down. So I was like, obviously, we can't have
a reasonable conversation.
So let's be going. Because the guy, and I think he was trying to intimidate us.
Yes. Because the house that we saw that was posted was not the same one.
Yeah. So we're asking for clarifications. Yes. And then he was trying to shout us down. That was basically what he was doing.
What he was doing.
My husband was like, nope. I'm not taking out the house. That is what I ordered. That is what I know. You cannot intimidate me.
And he wanted money for inspection. Yes, before we even got to the place. So there was all that stuff. So I said, let's go. So there are different instances like that where somebody is trying to shout and I'm saying, You're raising your voice.
Why are you raising your voice?
You can't raise your voice at me. I won't take it.
Yeah.
And if you're raising your voice, it shows me that you are not at equilibrium. Whatever you're saying,
it's making no sense.
It's making no sense right now. So I'll remove myself from being disrespected. Yeah, but it came from my dad being able to use. So he used yelling at times. I think I would have a conversation.
For him, it was not an abusive thing.
No, it wasn't.
It was a very intentional, instructive tool.
Yes.
To prepare you for the world.
Yes. So right now I'm faced by people shouting.
Before we end it, I think we should define parenting.
Yeah, based on Elizabeth Matthews'
definition.
So she was the one who wrote an article on
the case against.
Yeah, the case against gentle parenting.
A case against gentle parenting.
Lawliberty.org. That was where we found it, and it was so good because
the way she article.
The way she expressed it. So should I? Or would you?
You can go.
Okay, so it says parenting is the stewarding of our children's intellectual and spiritual formation, not the enjoyment of their untutored emotive existence. And also, we are not tasked with building a relationship with our children. So building a relationship, of course, is part of it, but that's not the burden of it. We are not tasked with building a relationship with our children. We are tasked instead with building our children's relationships with the wider world in all its sanctity and all its horror. The horror that we just explained.
About, because people will shout at you. In an ideal world, people shouldn't be shouting at people, but
in an ideal world, if you throw tantrums and you destroy people's property, somebody can shoot you. They can sue you, they can shoot you.
So yeah, I mean, it was really very important to mention the sanctity and the horror side of it. And I like that she talked about, untutored emotive existence, because emotions are tools, but they are not the entire essence of human beings. And they are not the entire essence of human relationships. So because emotions are not right or wrong. They can't determine what is right
or wrong. Yes. So if you base your parenting style
or not.
Yes. If you base your entire parenting style on just emotions, how the child is feeling and how the child is making you feel, you will not raise a balanced human being. I think a balanced human being is one that knows how to express emotions at the right time, the right place, and also use logic at the right time and at the right place.
So when the right thing is supposed to be done, regardless of how I
feel, I will do the right thing.
Not denying my feelings, right? My feelings are valid, but regardless of how I feel, I am still going to
do the right thing.
Right.
That's the kind of human being.
The kind of human.
At least that's the one that we want to raise. That's the goal in mind. So yeah, we just thought to dissect these aspects because, like I've said before, I don't believe in throwing away the baby with the bathwater. And so, even though gentle parenting has been demonized based on its core values or tenets that have been expressed and shown by people, I think that there are some lessons to be learned from there. And also mainstream parenting, I think that there are elements, or even though my parents are boomers, I think that mainstream parenting, in my own parenting, there were elements of gentle parenting in there. What the gentle parenting has hawked as their tenet, my mainstream parents practiced it. So we just thought to share this with you. If you think this has been insightful or valuable, please give the video a thumbs up. As always, I remain supreme.
And I'm Osham.
This is Osham. So if you have any questions or any thoughts you would like to share, if there's any aspect of this entire video that resonated with you, or maybe a light bulb moment for you from the entire chat, you could put it down in the comments. We love reading from you in the comments. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.